Thanks everybody for joining in today. And today is definitely special because it turns out to be Adike's birthday, and I believe it's 118th anniversary of his birthday. And with that in mind, we will just try to reminisce any experiences you have with Adike. And before we start, actually, Sally here has a little bio that she can read for all of us. And I mean, there is so much that can be said about Adi, but here is a short bio of Adi from Sally. You want to read? Jai Baba.
Jai Meher Baba all. We welcome you all to this session where we are going to remember and celebrate Adi K. Irani. I would like to start this off with the prayer he wrote in July 1979. This is the prayer Adi K. Irani wrote for beloved Baba. Beloved Meher Baba, bless us all, so that in the stress and strain of our daily life and the fluctuations of our mind, we learn to relax wholly and wholeheartedly and float in the ocean of your love and call for your breath of joy, your breeze of compassion, and your wind of strength to flood into every fiber of our body, every corner of our mind, and every space of our heart, to cleanse us all of our impurity and make us worthy of your love, of your obedience, of your service, and above all, your pleasure. Jai Baba. Adike Irani was one of Baba's first Mandali members and his secretary from 1944 onward. He first met his beloved master in Ahmednagar, India in 1921 when he was only 18 years old. The rest of his life was given entirely in Avatar Meher Baba's service, and in his capacity as Meher Baba's secretary, he corresponded widely with followers of Meher Baba all over the world. Adi accompanied Meher Baba on many of his journeys to the West, and after Meher Baba dropped his body on 31st January 1969, Adi made several speaking tours to the West and throughout India. He was a regular speaker at the Ahmednagar Meher Baba Center, continuing to fulfill the role Meher Baba designed for him as one of his most effective and inspiring speakers. In early 1970, upon Adi's return from his first trip to the West after Baba dropped his body, Khurshid Irani, Adi's cousin and one of Baba's earliest women Mandali, was surprised to hear how well Adi's public talks had been received, and how in private interviews in which people would tell Adi their personal problems and ask for his advice, Adi was able to respond helpfully to many questions asked of him. Then she recalled an incident which took place in the early 1920s in the Manzile Meem Ashram in Bombay, when Baba first planted in Adi the seeds of an ability to communicate his message to the public. One afternoon, Baba called Adi and asked him, "Will you stay with me for your whole life?" And Adi answered, "Yes, Baba." Baba continued, "When I call you, will you come with me for bhiksha, which is begging?" Adi again answered, "Yes, Baba." Baba then asked, "Will you speak for me as Vivekananda did for Ramakrishna? If so, I will give you my power to speak for me just as Ramakrishna gave Vivekananda his power to speak for him. Will you do this for me? Adi again said, Yes, Baba. Baba said, Remember this. When Khurshid reminded Adi of this incident, Adi at first couldn't recall it, but after a few moments, the memory of it came to him. He exclaimed, You were there? You remember all this? Recalling this experience with Baba made Adi very happy, and it made him even more enthusiastic to give talks about his beloved. Adi felt fully confident that Baba had given him the ability to speak for him, and thereafter he began to give more and more talks about Baba. Adi, in fact, did carry out Baba's order. During the new life, he went begging with Baba, and later he played a role like that of Vivekananda in bringing an understanding of Meher Baba's stature and message to the West. Although Baba foretold Adi's future, Adi's role as a speaker developed slowly and in stages. Adi began writing for Baba in the early years of his life with him. Adi wrote articles for the Meher Baba Journal and other Baba periodicals, including The Awakener and The Glow. Throughout Adi's early years with Baba, he was no doubt being prepared by Baba in many ways for his later work as a public speaker in his cause. And he was frequently called upon by Baba to read out what Baba was conveying through the board. And speaking of The Glow, we are glad to have Noshirvan here with us today. In this way, Adi became intimately conversant with Baba's messages, explanations, and discourses. Thereafter, even from the barest outline, just a few words or phrases, Adi was able to determine the entire thought that Baba wanted to communicate. But in spite of his ability to read the board, Adi did not feel able to speak extemporaneously about Baba and his message of love and truth. Baba would even encourage Adi to speak on his behalf, but Adi was reluctant. However, during Baba's visit to the West in 1956, which is 2 years later after Baba gave up the use of the alphabet board, a dramatic change took place. One day, in New York City, Baba told Adi to act as his representative at a press conference which had been arranged by some Baba's American lovers. Adi complained that he was afraid to do this, that there would be reporters from well-known papers and he would not know what to say. Baba looked hard at Adi and frowned, and with his elbow motioned Adi in the direction of the press conference. After Adi began answering the reporters' questions, his previous fears and reticence to speak in public totally vanished, and he, in fact, handled all of the difficult questions posed by the reporters with a masterly touch. Adi came to feel that his master was guiding his public speaking internally, just as he was guiding him externally in all his other activities. From that day, Adi found that he could speak fearlessly before any size audience. In fact, Adi would often say that the larger the audience, the greater joy he felt in speaking. Next to experiencing Baba's love personally, he felt Baba's love most when he was serving as a channel for communicating his love and truth to others. Adi also enjoyed being asked questions during his talks. The more difficult the questions, the better he liked them, because then he would be forced to dive deep within his heart to find the answer. Adi himself sometimes marveled at the answers that came forth. Adi's personal conviction of Baba's divinity came through in his talks. It was this conviction in Baba's status as the avatar of the age that was, at times, of immense benefit to others. During Adi's visits to the West in 1976, 1977, and 79, he gave many personal interviews to Baba lovers and people drawn to Baba. His conviction that Meher Baba is the avatar of the age is unparalleled, and he showed his ability to communicate that conviction to others through his talks and his very being. Adi's entire life was a living testimony to his understanding that, as he said, Meher Baba is not a theory to be read, rather a life to be led. The force of Adi's poignant insights, based upon his unassailable conviction that Meher Baba is the avatar of the age, strikes a deep chord of truth within one's heart. One of the things worth mentioning is that Adi would often quote Hafiz in his talks, and he was very conversant with several languages, namely Urdu, Persian, Gujarati, amongst others. So he was also very influenced and attracted to Sahib Azmi, and particularly a ghazal written by Sahib Azmi, the Pakistani poet, who had Meher Baba's darshan twice in the 1950s. Sahib Azmi wrote 2 books in Urdu on Meher Baba, which could not be published in Pakistan. So Adi sought Baba's permission to have these books published in India. And the ghazal that Sahib Azmi wrote is called Meher Baba Kutbe Alam, which is indeed a very beautiful ghazal. Maybe during or at the end
Yeah.
of this session, Prakash will play the song, the ghazal, for everybody to listen to.
Now, this first stanza in which he says, Meher Baba, you are the kutub of the world, manifestation of the light of God. You are man of God, the perfect man, and a crowned king of the 2 worlds. Meher Baba, kutub alam, mazhar noor khuda. Meher Baba, kutub alam, mazhar noor khuda. Mard haq insan kamil, mard haq insan kamil, ताजदार दो सरा मर्द हक इंसान ताजदार हाथ दो सरा. Then in the second stanza he says, the sun and the moon are enlightened with the glory of your face. The 2 worlds have become luminous by the rays of your light. Mero maipur noor tere jalwaye rukhsar se do jahan roshan hai tere partave anwar se. Meher Baba kutub alam mazhar noor khuda. Meher Baba kutub alam mazhar noor khuda. I just sung. Meher Baba, you are God. In you is manifested God. In the form of a human, you are God manifested. Meher Baba, tu Khuda तुझ में है जलवा गर खुदा मेरे बाबा सूरत इंसा हुआ तो हक नुमा मेरे बाबा सूरत इंसा हुआ तो हक नुमा. He said, you are Muhammad, you are Mustafa, you are Suleiman, you are Moses, you are God, you are the way Guru of the Sikhs, you are Ram, you are Rahim of the Muslims. Tu Muhammad, tu Muhammad Mustafa, tu Suleiman, tu Khalil, tu Muhammad Mustafa, tu Suleiman, tu Khalil. God tu वह Guru tu Ram tu है Rahim. God tu है वह Guru Ram tu है Rahim. मेरा बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहर नूरे खुदा. He says, you are the beginning, you are the end. You are concealed and you are manifest. You are the angel, you are God manifest, and you are the prophet. Tu hai awwal, tu hai aakhir, tu nihat, tu aashika. Tu firishta sid yazda gir payghambar shika. Tu firishta sid yazda gir payghambar shika. मेरे बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहरे नूरे खुदा मर्द हक इंसान कामिल ताजुदारे दूसरा. Now it means, he says, O the King of the two worlds and the Emperor of the whole creation, salvation lies in my getting into the orbit of your path of love. Salvation lies in my getting into the orbit of your path of love. ऐ शहंशाह दुल आलम पादशाह कायनात पादशाह कायनात. तेरी गिरदे राह हो जाने में है मेरी निजात. तेरे गिरदे राह हो जाने में है मेरी निजात. मेरे बाबा कुतुबे आलम मजहरे नूरे खुदा. You are in the name and form, and every name and form is yours. The wave of multiplicity is yours, and the ocean of unity is also you. इसम सूरत से तू ही हर इसम सूरत भी तेरा. इसम सूरत भी तेरा. इसम सूरत से तू ही हर इसम सूरत भी तेरा. है मौज कसरत भी तेरी है बहर वहदत भी तेरा. मौज कसरत भी तेरी है बहर वहदत भी तेरा. मेरे बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहरे नूरे खुदा. मेरे बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहरे नूरे खुदा.
Jai Baba, everybody. That's a short bio which Sally read first. Thank you, Sally. And Adi, as you all know, loved to sing, and this ghazal he used to like very much, many more. And according to what I gathered, that even Baba used to play tabla as he sang and played harmonium. So that also used to happen. So, well, now we want you all to share your stories that you may have, and we will request you to raise your hand, and that can be done digitally by pressing reactions button at the bottom of your screen, or on various devices like on a PC you would invoke Alt and Y, on a Mac you would press Option and Y, and on smartphone, iPad, tablet, I think you would look for more, and upon clicking that you will see raise hand function. And with that said, please go ahead and raise your hands, and and then we'll go from there. I think we also have Pratapji here and Janardhan Rao Garu from Andhra Pradesh, Nizamabad. And since it's pretty late in the night for them, not too late, but late enough. So we will have Pratapji started off, and then Janardhan Rao Garu will go after, and that way we can free them up to have a nice sleep after. So Pratapji, आप जाएंगे? You want to go ahead first? Please unmute yourself and then share your stories of Adi. We cannot hear you, Pratapji. I think you have to unmute your iPad. There you are. Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Beautiful.
You can hear, no?
Yes.
Yes. Last night, when we had a session with the circle of friends, I had said that as I have several memories about Erich, I do not have so much memories about Adi. But last night, when I was lying on the bed and recalling the whole time, I was really loaded with so many memories about Adi also. Now I will. I do not know how much time I have to speak, but I will. Some selective incidents will I will just try to tell you. One thing about my own life is that I was studying in Pune. I was staying at the hostel. The superintendent of the hostel was Mr. L.B. Thade, Lakshmikant Thade. And when I got through the final examination in the high school, that is LM, that is matriculation, I joined college for the first year science, and thereafter on for the second year, all the Thade family requested me. They in fact they forced me that I should not remain back because uh, I won't have that much of liberty to participate in Baba activities. When Thade was there as a superintendent, I could move because he was the one who was controlling the whole affairs of the hostel. So I had no problem then. But then when they shifted, Thade got a promotion and he was posted in Nagar itself. First posting was in Nagar. They insisted that I should go and stay with them in Nagar. Their younger brother Narendra, he was studying for inter science. I was also uh, joined inter science. I joined in Ahmednagar. Both of us were in Ahmednagar College, and I went to stay with Thade family. And Thade family, my stay in Nagar had been very nice time for me. I could meet Chagan Master. I could meet Padri Kaka very often. I could meet Sadhi Sidhuji. I could meet Jangle Master. Then here I could go to Kuchur quarters. Then it was called Kuchur quarters. Now, when we were studying in the college in the night time, we myself and Narendra we used to go to Kuchur quarters for our studies. because it was very quiet there, and there was a special room for Vaman Padale. Vaman Padale was assistant to Adik Irani. He was, in fact, said to be adopted son of Adik Irani. Adik Irani was not married, but then Vaman is said to be his adopted son. There were other people, other one by name Lakshman also, they were there. But we used to go there for night studies. And then in the morning, we had very nice interaction with Adi's mother. Adi's mother, Gulmai, was such a lady that one would like to bow down to her. She was really a lady like goddess, I would say. Her look was very, very pleasing. Her eyes were full of love. Her speaking was very, very worshipful of love, and quite fair looking, and very sharp features. Very, very good looking woman she was. Anybody will like to talk with her, and she was very, very, very good with us. But when we, after our dinner, when we used to go there, those who have gone there, visited this Kushru counter, the trust office now, there are, I mean, famous spread over the whole area. When you walk over that, it makes some sound, and whatever care you may take for walking very so slowly and softly, even then that it will make that noise. Now, when we used to enter late night, say about 9 o'clock, in between 9 and 10, and that sound will be there, and there will be a roaring voice from inside. Who is there? We will very politely say Pratap or Narendra. All right. And then we would go to the room and study there. And in the morning, Maiji used to send so much of about 15, 20 chapatis, small size chapatis for our breakfast. Every day she used to send. And we three, myself, Narendra, and Vaman Padali, we would have our breakfast and go to our respective places. We used to go home, have our lunch, and then go to the college. This was our routine time. But we never dared to enter Adi's office because he was like a roaring lion, always very serious looking person. And we were scared of going before him. So we usually went to Vaman's room, and just by the side there was a room for Faram, a working box. Only in the morning he used to give his darshan, otherwise he will be very busy in his work in his room. And once in a while, Adi's mother would ask me to. They had one tree behind their bungalow. Just behind that, there was a tree, and she would ask me to take out what you call the drumsticks. Drumsticks, that is eatable. People use it for in a gravy, putting it in a gravy. It's a good taste. So she would ask me to climb up the tree and take out some of the drumsticks for her use. And that was a regular work for me. In fact, from Maiji, we used to call her Maiji. We have found that Adi was very, very respectful to his mother. We have never found him talking harshly or in a raised voice with his mother. In fact, she at times used to scold Adi, but he will never raise his voice. That was the respect Adi had for his mother. And so we also had once a while, Maiji had a friendship with Thade's mother. We used to call her Amma. Once a while, she will bring the car, that 1893, the number still we remember. We were mad after that number. Whenever we find it anywhere in Pune, we used to run after that because feeling that Baba must be sitting there. And many times we used to have Baba Darshan, Baba traveling in that car. Adi or Vaman used to drive it. So she would come to us, come to the Thade's place, and she would take Amma with her just for a time pass, and we all will accompany them. They will go in a garden. Both of them will keep talking. The subject was naturally on Meherabad only, and then we will be playing in the garden. That used to be the regular program. Chhagan Master used to come in the evening. Every evening practically used to come every evening, and he used to tell so many stories. So my stay in Nagar has been very purposeful, I would say. But I had not much reaction with Adi. Just I remember that Adi was very much fond of Urdu poetry. So very rarely, he would call me and praise some song from the some picture song. I remember that those days, there was one picture, uh, Anarkali. Anarkali. I won't go into the details because that may take little time. But then there was very nice, very good song, and Adi had liked it. Adi had seen that movie, and he asked me whether you have seen that movie. Did you like that song? And then he asked me what is the meaning of that. Have you understood? I had little understanding, but then he explained me the whole song. That some such few occasions were there when I used to have meeting with Adi. But thereafter, after passing inter science, I went back to Pune. I joined engineering college, and thereafter I had to leave it because of some financial difficulties for my family problems. And then in the course of time, I went and stayed in. I got a job in Mumbai, and I went to stay in Mumbai. There, of course, I had a very good time. Adi, very occasionally he used to visit Mumbai. He used to go to Khorshid. Khorshid was staying there on other in a bungalow by name Tafti Mandi. There on the first floor, I think she was staying with her mother, Sunamasi, and Adi used to stay there overnight. And whenever he is in Mumbai, he will invariably attend to Mumbai Center. And in Mumbai Center, we used to have his talk every time when he comes, he'll give a talk. But the subject matter of Adi will be only some philosophical subjects. He won't tell anything about himself, about his personal life with Baba. He will only select such subjects and explain them in detail and avoid to speak about himself. Once there was a murmur in among the Baba lovers in Mumbai that they once or twice they expressed before me that Adi always speaks over some philosophical topics and he never tells anything about his personal life, and it talks becomes a boring talk for us. I heard this, and once I just opened this topic before Adi when we were both lonely, alone with each other. I told Adi, I asked Adi, Adi Kaka, why don't you tell some of your incidents about your personal life? So he very sternly said, then who is going to understand all these philosophy which Baba has given, who is going to understand that? If I keep on telling my own stories, I could not say anything because he abruptly was little bit depressed and ultimately said that all these Parsis are very easy-going people. Adi himself being a Parsi, he said all these Parsis are all happy-go-lucky people. And then, but then he took note of my whatever I suggested. I tell him that at certain times you just tell something about your personal life with Baba. And one story he has started, a very interesting story. He told me, I do not know whether it has come in any of these books, but then what I remember from that story, it's a very interesting story. He said that he was appearing for some final examination, must be, I do not know, but then some examination which required the preliminary. We have to clear up the preliminary. And if he passes through that preliminary exam, then he would get the form for appearing for the main examination. That was the condition. Now, somehow he could not clear off a couple of subjects, and the principal refused to grant him permission for appearing for the actual exam, main exam. And Adi requested, but no, principal said, I won't allow you to appear for the main exam. Then he comes to Baba. Adi, Baba asked him, what has happened about your clear from your principal? Adi told very dejectedly that no, he is not allowing me to appear for the exam. This is a given form for appearing for the main exam. And then Baba said that why don't you request him? Just tell him, and he will listen to you. Adi goes, and Baba sends him back. Adi goes back and requests the principal as Baba suggested, but the principal is not to be agreed to give him, form for the main exam. In spite of many requests, he just simply said no, no, and again with a hanging, with a sad face, Adi comes to Baba and said, "No, Baba, principal is very stern and he is not allowing me to appear for the main exam." Baba said, "You are lacking in requesting him. Just go again. Just put little bit through. You are politely just put little bit pressure on him so that he may agree." Adi goes there again, and the principal shouts on him, saying, have I not told you that I won't allow you for the exam, for appearing for the main exam? How many times I have to tell you? Go back. I am not going to listen to your request. Adi again comes back. Again, Baba asks what has happened. He said, "No, Baba, he's very stubborn and I'm just unable to convince him." Baba says, "You again go to him again. Just pray for mercy. Just go again and request him." But Adi said that now he may get angry with me. So what? Doesn't matter. You go and request him. Adi again goes to the principal, and the principal is so very angry with Adi. Hereafter, if you appear before me, I will ask my peon to throw you out of this compound. And again with a gloomy face, Adi comes back to Baba and says that, "Baba, he's a It is just impossible for me now. It's unbearable for me to stand before him. And let us now stop requesting. But Baba says, no, try again, try again. You just beg for his grace, for his mercy. And this time Baba said that if he refuses, you just catch hold of his feet. You just catch hold of his feet and pray to him, please grant me permission to appear for the exam. And now, now see the scene. There is a big table on the opposite end. The principal is sitting, and far away from him, Adi is sitting here. Now he cannot reach. He cannot reach the feet of this principal. So ultimately, somehow, the principal allowed me to sit there and agreed to hear whatever he wants to say. But he was determined that I'm not going to allow you for this exam. And let your year go waste. But then this is not within my principle. I just said, I just told you about it. And he is going through some of the papers, some of the his own papers, which official papers he was going through. And Adi sitting in front of him, far away from, because the table is so big. And so many heaps of files are lying there, books and files are lying there. And he is going through some files. And what Adi did is that he bowed down. He under the table, he crawling, he went to the principal and caught hold of his feet and said, "Sir, if you don't allow him, I'm not going to leave your feet." And the principal was taken by surprise. He said, "What you are doing? Do you know what you are doing?" I am just unable to think, and this is the last chance I am just taking. Please help me. Please don't deny permission to me for the exam. And ultimately, the principal said, all right, come on, get away from now. I will grant you permission for appearing the examination." This story he told in the Bombay Center, and everybody was so very happy. It's a very funny story, funny and also very very enjoyable story. Everybody enjoyed. So Adi was such a person, and in Mumbai, since from Mumbai, I had a very close connection with Adi. Just before coming to Mumbai, there was some program before Baba, which I had mentioned about it in the Circle of Friends session, that Baba had granted 25 rupees per month to be paid to me for nutritious diet. That was said to be a nutritious diet, and that diet was milk and butter. I had to every day. I have to take milk and butter, and for me to take that milk and butter, Baba had sanctioned rupees 25 per month, and he had asked Adi to pay that amount to me on Baba's behalf. And Adi was regularly paying me that amount. At times, he would pay me 2-3 months together, and very particularly he was very particular in payment of that amount to me, because it was a wish or will from Baba. In the course of time, every time that money I was receiving from Adi, and I was supposed to utilize it for taking some nutritious food, that is milk and butter. which I was doing as far as possible. And then in the year 1968, in the middle of 1968, I received a letter from Adi. And in that letter, he had written that last week I had gone to Meherabad to meet Baba, and Baba inquired about you. Baba wants to know that where are you now and what you are doing now, whether you have got an employment or anything like that. Baba wants to know about your present situation. And in that same letter, Adi had written, according to Baba's instruction, that Prakash, you know that I was paying you 25 rupees per month on behalf of Baba because he had sanctioned that amount to you as his prasad. That specific word was there, that letter was there from Erech. It is Baba's prasad. And referring to that, Adi asked me, Baba wants to know as to what you're doing at present. And the prasad which I was paying to you on Baba's behalf, whether you still need it, whether you still need it. If yes, don't hesitate to say yes. Yes, I need it. But if you don't need it, please inform me so that I can inform Baba accordingly. The next moment, I took a paper and wrote down a big letter to addressing to Baba. That Baba, I just paid my respects to Baba. I thanked Baba for remembering me. And then about that money, I said that I was receiving this amount. I never asked for it. It is you on your own that you started paying me this amount. That was for my health purposes. And it was specifically said that it is Baba's prasad. And I was taking it with the same feeling that it is a prasad from Mer Baba, my Mer Baba. The same feeling I had when I was receiving that amount. Now, since it was started by Baba himself without my asking or without my hoping for it, I never hoped for such a help from anybody. But without my asking for it, when Baba had started it, it is open for Baba to stop it anytime he likes. As far as my financial condition is concerned, I am employed now and I can manage my own financial affairs. And I'm very thankful to you. You can tell this to Baba. And the next letter I received is from Adi that Baba is very happy with your letter, and hereafter you won't be receiving that amount. And within a few months' time, Baba dropped his body. So Baba was just winding up the whole affairs of financial affairs. And this was one of the commitments. Anyway, in Mumbai, during Mumbai stay, I had very close connection with Adi. And in the latter years, when he used to be all alone in the trust compound, whenever I used to go, there was one person by name Rangoli. He was trustee, and he had a room there. And we used to often, whenever we are in Nagar, I used to often visit Rangoli also. And while going to Rangoli's room, in between was Adi's room. Afterwards, sometime Bhav also was used to sit there. So he used to, uh, even at midnight, he used to keep awake Adi Irani. And however softly you may walk without making any sound, Who is there? And then I would say, Pratap, come inside. And then I would go inside and I will explain my surprise. Adi Kaka, what is the time now? You're not you're not keeping awake until late hours. And he would say very lovingly, what can I do, Pratap? I don't get sleep at all. At times I'm the whole night I will awake. And then he will make me sit there for 1 hour, at least 1 hour, talking about only Urdu poetry. My God, he had such a beautiful knowledge about Urdu poetry. And that that was very enjoyable time for me. In fact, I had a really very nice time with Adi also. But one last incident which I would like to mention here is that when we had staged a big drama depicting different avatars, starting from Zoroaster, Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and then Meher Baba. And the drama was full of, it was a poetic drama. And there were songs, every avatar had a separate song depicting his message. And the idea was that the boys from different religions, they are fighting with each other. Our religion is the greatest one, and our avatar is the greatest one, and all the other avatars we don't recognize them. Every religion used to say, and they approach a elderly person who make them understand the oneness of all the avatar is the one only, all that philosophy. So that drama was such a powerful drama. In fact, it was a talk of the whole Baba groups. They were so very happy that even the Westerners, some of the Westerners who were present, especially I remember this. Uh, She's names do not come. I'll tell you afterwards. But she called me. She was sitting with Mansari, and she called me and said that, Pratap, what a wonderful drama you have written. And it was for us, it was like a dream when this avatar in small boys, small girls and boys, they come forward in the form of avatars. It was very pleasant, very pleasing to eyes, really. And I had never seen such a drama in my life. This was words from so many people. And on next day, when Eras was there and I happened to meet him, and Eras praised it so much. In between, this Nazu Kotwal came and joined our discussion, and she wants to know that what you are discussing about, what your subject. And we are, Eris said that we are discussing about the last night drama. Drama? What drama? You were not there? Eris is asking her. No, I was sitting with the Westerners. That was a fashion during those days. Nowadays, it is very common, but those days it was fashion to sit with the Westerners and have their company. And Eris was little bit displeased with that, and he said, "Have you not seen the drama?" No, I was not there. I wish you could have been. You could have seen that drama. Your head would have been blown off. That was uh, Eres said. And Adi wanted me to perform that drama in Khusru quarters, in the compound of Khusru quarters, and with the whole team of about 23 children, along with their parents. They all this big paraphernalia came there, and we all went to Nagar. And in the night, saying not very late, but then exactly at that time, I fell sick, little bit sick with bad throat and little fever also, and Adi was giving me pill after pill, homeopathic pills, just to correct me, or just to make me fit for the presenting the drama. But then that didn't came in the way, and the drama was performed there. Surprisingly for me, all the lady members who never leave Meherabad during night time, but particularly for the drama, including Mehra, Mani, Dr. Gaur, and all these lady members were present throughout the drama. I still remember that after the drama was over, so much, everybody was so very happy. Adi said that had I known this before, I would have hired a big hall for presenting this drama so that public could have seen this drama. But I said, no, no, Adi Kaka, I am really very happy because such great people, before such great people, were such dear people, I could perform this drama. And all the ladies mandali surrounded me. I was standing right in the middle, and Mera told me, Pratap, Bama must have been very, very happy today. I wish you keep on doing this. Just keep on going with this such programs. And this is the really very good time which was possible because of Adi Kirani. When Adi passed away, now Janardhan will be telling you about that. But later on, I came that he passed away in Guntur. And I am not going to touch that subject of his passing away. But then, when his body was brought to Meherabad, I was present there. As soon as I knew about it, I ran to Meherabad, and believe me, the body was brought in a car. Adi's body was kept in such a way that as if a person is sitting there. And the driver, the owner and driver of that car was none else than the father-in-law of my good friend Merchant Nuri. He was MBG Shastri. He had bought that body. It was we went there about 2 years. After 2 hours, that body came, and it was taken out from that car. It was placed on the platform, some raised platform, and for a second, just for us to look at that body, at his face, Padri removed the cloth on his face, but then immediately he covered it up. The obvious reason was that it must have decayed. His face must have decayed, and Padri didn't want that we should look at it. And immediately now everything goes. Everything is, come on, let us go for burial, and then all the last rites were completed. This is all about my life with Ali. There are so many other things which, because of the limitation of time, others
Yeah.
have to speak.
Thank
I will
you.
take. I thank you very much for
No,
giving me this opportunity to serve. Thank you.
that's
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Kaka. Thank
that's
you, Kaka. Is a little correction. Is my father-in-law, my brother Anil Nori's father-in-law, Vijayshree's father.
yeah.
Anil Nori's
But
father-in-law
he's
and
connected.
Vijayshree's
Yeah.
father. I'm sorry for the
Yes.
correction.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank
Pratap
you.
ji.
Thank you.
Thanks for remembering all those beautiful, experiences with Adi and the other stories you shared. And I'm sure everybody enjoyed. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for keeping
Thank,
awake and sharing these wonderful stories. And
thank Baba. Thank Baba.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
Baba. No, I will
And
be listening to this. Still, I will be listening to others also.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
I would
We'll
like to
now.
listen.
Thank you. We now go to Janardhan Rao Garu from Nizamabad to share his
Yes,
experiences,
yes,
and for those living outside of India and all. It's still daytime, so I guess people from India would speak first, and the rest can share after. So
I see,
after,
I see,
yeah,
I
after
see.
Jonathan Rao Garu, it's going to be Meher Krupa, and then
Yes,
I see another hand here, Meher Chand after that. Jai Baba.
I, Jai Baba, Jai Baba. Thank you so much. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Janardhan
Baba.
Garu, can you go? Jenu Kaka, are you there? Let me see. I wonder if he is around. There he is. Oh, you may have to unmute yourself, Janardhan Rao Garu.
Trying.
We could hear for a second, but it went off again. Maybe you want to try that. Yeah, it should be good now.
Jai Baba. I am really very, very happy and feel very fortunate to say something about such a great personality. So, first of all, I am very happy that I have seen Pratap Ahir and Nawashirwan and all of you, Mechan, Nori and Betty and everybody after a very long time. So I wonder, it's a somehow I don't know how come I'm here because people who had deep connection with Meher Baba, those who live with him, with those people, I have something to say. That is a wonderful thing. That is sheer fortune. Adi used to say, when Khuda meherban to ghada pahalwan. That is, if God is pleased with you, even an ass becomes a great wrestler. So that is true of me, because I stand nowhere in this whole thing about Meher Baba's Mandali and all that. Anyhow, it is my good fortune that Baba has put me here. For his own reasons, I don't know anything about myself, but I was there. So I will try to say a few words, whatever I remember about that. So, in the year 1966, probably, or 1967, it must be 1967, there was a Sahwas of Baba lovers in a Gujarati hall in Hyderabad near Taj Mahal Hotel. So Hyderabad is very near to our place. So all Baba people from Nizamabad, we all went there, and Adi was there. He was the main speaker, and along with him, Jock Small was also there, and T.S. Kutumba Shastri, Swami Satya Prakash Udasin, and all other things. So this is my first, reminiscence about Adi. So Adi started his speech, and he told that before he left for Hyderabad, he went to Baba, and he said, Baba, I'm going to Hyderabad to meet your lovers. What's your message? So Baba calls him nearer, and he kisses Adi's cheek and says, this is my message. So it was such a wonderful thing that Baba gave his love to all of us through that kiss, through Adi Ki Rani. And of course, as Pratap ji already told us, that he was a very good singer. He was, I think he's a classical singer. I don't know anything about singing, but he sang 2 or 3 beautiful songs, and one of them was that one, Meher Baba Kutbe Alam. So, and also he sang that song, Yaar ke marzi ke tabe, yaar ka dam barkh de. So that is another song. And then that is about first thing I remember about Adi Kirani. And he embraced each of us. And I was very, very happy and very fortunate that Baba has, whatever love he has given, it has reached me. That's what I felt. Now, over the years, after so many years, when I look back, I feel so delighted, so happy, so fortunate that I really feel I don't know how I am here. But whatever it is, that is one thing. Then, when Baba dropped his body, of course, we were there 6-7 days in Meherabad, and all that was over. We never knew that Baba led a very simple life, very austere life, and he lived like a man like us. I thought that he has nothing to do with money. It was funny, you know. I never thought that he will require money for maintaining his mandali and all the ashrams and all that. But then what happens? One day we get the news that Adi Irani and Kutumba Shastri, they have taken up a tour of Andhra. So Andhra begins from, it was a composite state at that time. Now it is Telangana and Andhra, but it was a composite state at that time. So Andhra began with Nizamabad. So T.S. Kutumba Shastri and Adi Irani, they visited Nizamabad. And they said that we require loving contributions from the Baba people. So I was aghast. I never knew that Baba was leading such a, ordinary, austere life like anybody like you and me. And he needed money. It was something that went deep into my mind, and I cursed myself. Oh, I was employed when he was alive. I never sent any money for him. I never knew that he required money. But that's over, that's over. But when Adi Kirani came and he made an appeal, so and he said it should be something which is continuous, and the support should be continuous, not once. So we all accepted that very wholeheartedly, and to our capacity. See, you may be laughing that what is the amount we have sent. So every month, I was the person who would collect money from so many people from Nizamabad, Baba lovers. Some would pay 1 rupee, some would pay 50 paisa, and the maximum amount was 5 rupees. And the total amount would be around 16 or 20 rupees maximum. So I would send that amount every month, collect that money. And because I was in a bank, I used to purchase a draft and send it to Adi Kirani. I used to take a draft in the name of Adi Kirani, not knowing that I should purchase it in the name of Avatar Meherabad Trust. So for a couple of months it went there, and then finally Adi wrote me that it's not proper. You should not send money on my name. You should send in the name of the trust. So later on that I changed that. That is one thing. Then in 1969 October, when the whole world, Baba world was shocked and everybody was very down. They lost all the, see, first of all, the problem is that Baba said that I will break my silence, I will manifest my glory I will manifest. And everybody expected that something stupendous would happen and Baba would, so nothing has happened. So the whole world was shocked. Baba people were shocked. Of course, the world was there. People who used to inquire about Meher Baba, they would question us, what happened to your Meher Baba? Did he break his silence? And all those questions were there. But in Nizamabad, it was different. Our, our founder secretary, he was such a staunch lover of Meher Baba that he said that Meher Baba has shut this only his form. It is he kept his form aside. Now he is very easily accessible to all people, so that they can feel his presence in everybody's heart. And you must look to that. You must. This is the time we leave his words, and let let the world know what Baba is all about. So with that background, he said that we must have a Savas in Nizamabad, 1969, October. So we invited Adi Irani. Adi Irani came here. If I remember correctly, it must be 8th and 9th October 1969. Which is just, it was 9 months after Baba has dropped his body. That was the first public program, to my knowledge, about Meher Baba. So we had a 2-day Sahwas. Adi was here, Kutumba Shastri was here, Swami Satya Prakash was there, and C.D. Deshmukh, and Matsudan Pun, Subhadra, and everybody was here. It was such a beautiful time that Adi himself spoke. So, for 2 days in the morning and again in the afternoon, and then whenever there was time, he would have a personal. People gather around Adi, he would tell something. So one of the stories was that he told. Of course, this must be in. Now I get confused, but whatever it is, this story is. The story I remember is that Adi was there in Manzil-e-Mim. Baba was there. Baba was very lean, thin, and added to that, he fasted for 21 days or something like that. And Adi was robust. Adi is a very strong person and a very strong man. And Baba had a whim that we should have a kusti, wrestling, that is wrestling. Adi felt very sad. Baba is thin. He had fasted already for 20 days. Now he wants that I should fight with him. So he most unwillingly, he says, all right, Baba persuades him. So he goes there and just catches hold of him, and he tries, and he just simply surrenders. Baba is furious. He said, no, you have to be very serious. You give all your strength. So Adi says, Baba, you are very weak. I can just put you away like this. I can throw you. Baba says, no, come on. So he, Adi is such a strong man, He was young at the time, maybe in his early 20s or 18, whatever it is. So he goes to Baba and he tries, now I'll show what is my strength to Baba. So he goes to Baba and he catches hold of him. Before he realizes what has happened, Baba picks him up and throws him yards away, and he feels that. That is one story he has told us. So that is a funny story. I remember that. And then what happened during so he was here from 7th October, something like that. For 4 days he was here. And I had, because I was very young at the time, I was given the duty of attending to him personally. So I would carry him coffee, juice, and food and all that. He was in a guest house there. And of course, I never knew that he would notice me at all, because I was a boy. And of course, I had great love for all the Baba people, and much so for Adi Irani. because he was Baba's secretary and dear ones, and Baba, and he was the only man who was, people knew about him, because we never knew about the Mandali, that is Iraj Savala and other people. We were, all those things I had never come to know those days. But he was the only man who was something like a person between Meher Baba and all of us. So his Baba's secretary, such a great man, and such a beautiful thing to be with him. I never thought that he would remember me at all. So what happened then? October 1969. Then he was here for 4 or 5 days, and he also came to my place in Nizam Sagar. Achampet is a village. He came to our house also, and there was a big gathering in our place also. So but it was very, you cannot think that he can notice about me. So what happened? 1970, Amar City, I was standing there near the wall. That is, as we approach the Samadhi, what happens? There is the right side, there's the compound wall, and I was alone there, and there were several people. Adi was coming with so many people were there with him. He was leading, and they were there, and he noticed me, and I never noticed that he has recognized me, and he came walking straight to me and embraced me and said, there were so many others were there. He said, this boy, had not he been there, I would have fasted in Nizamabad. That is what he told. So that's a great certificate for me. I feel blessed that such a man, from Baba, from God, has remembered me, as if God has remembered me. So I am grateful for that. Then what happened? Of course, years passed by, and I was transferred from Nizamabad to Guntur. There was a unfinished center was there. We have got such a lengthy story about the center, because the man who constructed the center, he died before completing it, and the rest of the people in Guntur, we are to work very hard for completing the center and to get it inaugurated and all that. So there were so many legal complications were there. I will not go into those details, but it was very, very essential that it should be opened before a particular date, so that the man who left the building incomplete, they wanted to acquire that for their personal benefit, not for Meher Baba Center, make money and all that. So those legal complications were there. So to overcome that, and also to establish it as a center for Baba people, for Baba world, we had to do so many things. Generally, what happens those days, now I don't know how it is, but it was, money was a very, very difficult thing. People had no money, and we were all very ordinary people. Just as it is hand to mouth. So most of us were employees, and we had to somehow pull up money and invite Adi Kirani. So MBG Shastri, just now Pratapji told that MBG Shastri was the man who drove Adi's body to Meherabad. He was one man who was influential and some access with Adi Kiran and all that. So he approached Adi Kirani and requested him to come to Guntur for the opening of the Guntur Center. So Adi graciously agreed for that, and we had arranged his journey through a train, and he came to Guntur. So because I should say something about my relationship with Adi Kirani. I am narrating this. Otherwise, I don't see any reason. So I was in the bank, and cars were not there. People had no cars, and hiring a car was a difficult thing. So I requested my manager to use his official car for put it in the service of Adi Kirani. So that man, he was very kind to me, and he said that I will definitely give my car. Not only that, he himself would come to the railway station. He came to the railway station. He took Adi Kiran in his car to the hotel and put him. And when the program was there, he would be there at the hotel. For the opening, he will come to the hotel in his car. He will get, Adi Kirani will be transported to car to the center. It was about 6 miles or 6-7 kilometers away from the city. So every day, that is how my manager helped me, and I really express my gratitude to him even today because of that great help. And then Adi was there for 2 days, and we had greatest what you call the greatest opportunity for all of us, that we had seen Adi, and he was very, flamboyant, very happy, and he gave beautiful talks for 2 days, morning and evening. And first March 1980 was the first day, and he opened the center. He garlanded Baba, and there is a statue in the center. So he climbed the stage, that platform, and embraced Baba on the platform. So that is there in the film also. So 2 days it was a wonderful thing, and I never expected that such a sad thing will happen there in Guntur. So first, second, the program was there. Third day, 3rd March, he took rest, and he had to return back to Meherabad on the 4th of March, 1980. So I was, so on so many things I had to take what you call, I had to volunteer for so many things. So I took the responsibility of taking him to the railway station from the hotel. So early in the morning, maybe around 3:30, myself and my friend Kashnath Pawar, there is one Mr. Kashnath Pawar, we both went to the hotel. We had a car, and we took the car to the hotel where Adi was put in, and it was in the 1st floor. So myself and my friend Kashnath Pawar, we went into the hotel and climbed the stairs and went to his room. When I saw the doors were open, I was just wondering, because normally these doors were closed. I thought that I had to knock on the door, but it was not required. So it was all open, and there were 3 foreigners. One is Jacksmal, the second one is Robert Dreyfus, and third one is Steve Barry. I have not seen Steve Barry after that, but that is the name I remember. So these 3 people were there. They were something, I found that it was unusual. They were very serious and very sad and all that. So when I went there, they said that Adi is sick. Oh God. So they have already called a doctor. Doctor was attending on him. And myself, my friend, we were waiting outside. It was a big suit, and in the interior part, Adi was there on the bed. And then they said that you have to get a oxygen cylinder. So we rushed and got an oxygen cylinder, and we put it in his service. but it was of no use. Then the doctor said that, no, it is not working. So he said that you have to use mouth-to-mouth respiration. So all the three people, that is Jack Small, Robert Dreyfus, and then Steve Barry, they tried their best and they were all exhausted. Then they were, so I had the opportunity. So I went to him and put my mouth into him. I was very lean. I tried my best. But what I remember today is that when after trying something, mouth-to-mouth respiration, so saliva started coming out of his mouth. And the doctor said that no use, we have to take him to a hospital, government hospital. That is the only hospital there in Guntur, big hospital. So I held his head and back, his, from behind his hands and his head, I carefully took it into my, and I held it. And people, I think Kashnath Pawar and others, they held him toward the leg side, and we all tried to come down the stairs. So when we came out of the room, I felt that something like that. And but I did not know what it is. But we all the same, we took him to the hospital, and the doctors, they came in, and he was put on a cot, emergency cot, and they examined him, and he said he has passed away. So earlier to that, they told me that Adi was sitting in the bed first. First he was sitting in the bed, and he said that I had a chest pain, I have great pain now. So he started calling out Baba, Baba, Baba. And then after some time, he moved to the corner of the cot, and there he sat, and on his knees he put his hands like this, and he said Baba, 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 and fell down. So that is the story. When I took him to the hospital, even they said that he's gone. So I was there. Robert Dreyfus was there. I don't know what happened to Jack Small and others. And maybe Kashnath Pawar was also there, because I don't remember anything now. It was such a shock that he came to Guntur on my invitation and he died. That was the greatest shock. I wanted that he should have gone happily. See what has happened. On 3rd March, we purchased some nice pant and shirt for him, and such a huge size, big basket. We had this grapes. That is of special nature. They don't have seeds in that. That would be very sweet, and he liked them. When we gave them, he said it's good. So such a big and very some 20 to 30 kgs of that, a very big basket. So we purchased that for him to take it to Meherabad for distributing among the mandali or something like that. So we had such a desire that people should have something to eat there from Guntur. So these things I today remember. I feel very sad that he passed away, and it is I don't know whether we can call it a good fortune or to part away with such a great man when he's there. So that is what has happened with Adi Irani.
Thank you, Jenu Kaka garu. Beautiful. That's a wonderful story.
I want Prakash. Prakash, I want one thing. Don't say Garu. I feel very bad about that Garu.
Okay, Janardhan Kaka, Janu Kaka. Okay.
Yes, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. And I
Yeah.
am really happy to see now Shirvan, because I had heard so much of him. As a young guy, I used to hear that he has started the Glow magazine that was blessed by Baba. It was early in 1966. I remember that we used to have a newspaper type of Glow. Even those papers are there with me. Those old editions are there with me in
Yeah.
my that is my treasure.
I mean, Nosh does a great job there.
Thank you. Thank you
Beautiful.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
thanks, Janu Kaka, and I tell you, your stories have been wonderful, and it's of course sad to hear about how Adi passed away. But we all remember his love for Baba through his works and everything that he did. So it's a pleasure. I mean, to listen to all those wonderful things.
whether it is pleasure or
No, it's always a pleasure. I mean, with Baba's love, it's always a pleasure.
yeah.
Thanks anyway. Thanks a lot. And we'll just keep going around and asking other people to share their stories. Thanks again. And at this time, um, we have a couple of hands here, actually, a bunch of hands. And will Naushirwan ji, आप share करेंगे? You want to go ahead, and then generally I think if you have a lot to share, the suggestion has been that you limit it to a certain time, say 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can come back and continue whatever you have in addition to whatever you shared earlier. So that way, everybody can just circle around and share their experiences or whatever they like to share. So let's have Naushirwanji go now, and then we'll circle back to Meherchand, Vijay, and Meher Kripa, Meherchand, and Vijay. Jai Baba.
Jai Meher Baba. I have an enormous amount of material on Adi K. Irani, on Adi Kaka, since I have I was in contact with him as a young man, as a teenager growing up. He visited our home at 36 Lytton Road in Dehradun many times. He would come to give talks in Dehradun for the mela that we used to hold. There used to be a regular mela. He would come to a place called Meherabad in Dehradun. So I had a tremendous amount of interaction with Adi Kaka, as we called him, Adi Kaka. So there were 4 members of the Mandli who had a tremendous impact on my life. One is my godfather. I call him my godfather, and that's Irach Jasawala. Adi Kaka, Mani Irani, and Arnavaz Darachanji. These 4 individuals had a tremendous impact on my spiritual life, especially after Baba dropped his body. So when Baba launched the magazine Glow in 1966, after my meeting with him in 1965, he directed Irach Jasawala, Mani Irani, his sister, and Adi K. Irani to help me with material for the magazine on an ongoing basis. And they both, all 3 of them, lived up to their commitment and helped me tremendously with material. And I'll give you a little glimpse of how Adi Kaka helped me. So after Baba dropped his body, the first thing that I wanted to do was to spend time in Meherabad with the Mandli. So I went to live in Meherabad, and I would spend the day at Adi Kaka's office. So what he would do is he would open up his cupboards for all the material that was in it, and I would sit and copy all the material. by hand from the various diaries. Then he would also hand over several diaries to me, which would be Chanji's diaries. And he gave me his own diaries from 1932 to 1970, which I over a 3-year period, I transcribed and then returned them to the Avatar Meher Baba Trust. So those diaries are still with me, and I gradually use them in the glow from time to time. They're invaluable diaries, particularly towards the 1969 period, where he wrote down Baba's health progress from time to time with reports from Dr. Ram Ginde. So the reason why I would spend the day at Adi Irani's office was because there was no electricity in Meherabad. So I would sit late into the night under a Petromex lamp and sit and take down notes from files that Erich would give me. So this way, I was able to collect a tremendous amount of material. I remember the material that I copied in from Adi's files were letters written by Mahatma Gandhi to Meher Baba. And those I still have, and hopefully in a book that I'm hoping to do on Meher Baba and Gandhi, those letters will appear. Then one day when he was visiting my home in Bombay, I asked him if he would be so kind enough to write down his early years with Meher Baba, which was Meher Baba as Meherban. And he very kindly wrote 2 articles for me in the form of a diary that he sent me. And those 2 features on Meherban now appear in a new book that will be out in 2 weeks. It's called Meher Baba, From Boyhood to Godhood. And you'll all be able to read the entire section besides his mother's narration of Meher Baba as Meherban, and in this case, Adi Irani narrates Meher Baba as Meherban. But today, what I thought, I'll read a couple of paragraphs, and I want to limit my reading for the simple reason that there are lots of hands that have been raised, and I'd rather give them a chance. And perhaps at another time, we'll have another session. But I wanted to read from the book a few paragraphs of how I met Meher Baba. Meherban, as he was called, was a constant visitor of Sakori for nearly 7 years after his 9 months of contact with Babajan. He was immersed in the ocean of divinity by Babajan, and having become God realized, was directed inwardly to go and see Narayan Maharaj of Khedgaon and Tajuddin Baba of Nagpur, and then to Sai Baba, and finally to Upasni Maharaj, who brought him down from God consciousness to man consciousness, retaining his God consciousness to the full. Now, one of the interesting things that you find in Adi's diary or his narration of his early years is that he interjects these memoirs of Meher Baba as Meherban with a few of his own spiritual thoughts. So he writes over here that God consciousness once gained is never lost, but it is given to a few who become a Salik or a Sadguru by regaining man consciousness, thus simultaneously enjoying man and God consciousness. Meher Baba, although not known to us then as the Avatar, was the Avatar, and Babajan and Upasni Maharaj had only to work up inwardly to precipitate God's descent to human form. They cannot be called the masters of Meher Baba in the conventional sense of handing over the charge of spiritual power from a guru or a master to a Shishya or disciple. Meher Baba was everything and had everything. The two masters, as it were, prepared the way for his advent. Gulmai, that is Adi Irani's mother, told me that there was one Meherwan considered as the foremost disciple of Upasthi Maharaj, and always talked to me about him in very endearing terms until one day I saw him at Sakori. He had a light brown complexion. Now, this is very interesting how Adi saw Meherwan when he first met him. Initially, I don't think he mentions it over here, that he was not interested in meeting Upasthi Maharaj at all. And every time his mother would ask him to come to Sakori, he would turn it down and he was not interested. And he would chide his mother and tell her that we have Zoroaster. What are you going to Sakori for? You don't need to go and see Upasthi Maharaj or whoever. So one day his mother was trying to go to Sakori, and usually someone or the other would accompany her because her husband Kaikhushru, that's Adi Irani's father, would not permit her to go all by herself to a practically deserted place like Sakori and to an unknown man called Upasni. So she asked him, she said, please, will you take me to Sakori? So he said, oh, very well, if you insist. But look, I'll just drop you there and come away. I don't know why you're going to all these places when we have our own Zoroaster and so forth. But he took her. And he was there. And the moment he saw Upasni, he was completely attracted to Upasni Maharaj and decided to stay on. He bowed down to him and sat and listened to his discourses. And since then he became kind of, because at that time, he didn't really know who Meherwan was. So now here is a description of how he saw Meherwan. He had a light brown complexion, a very, very penetrating eyes, a slender body, and was quick and agile in his movements. He moved about Sakori ashram, talking, singing, and music, as if given away to an entirely different world, which seemed to be his primary concern. And all outward acts and expressions, surface movements to conceal the oceanic depth of his experience. Not a word of greatness of himself did he utter. It was all in praise of Babajan and Upasthi Maharaj. But his state of utter disregard of his bodily dress and comfort, his words of profound knowledge, and his overflowing love for all betrayed his love for humanity and his authority to exercise this love for the benefit of others. There is no significant event or a moment in my recollection of my first contact with Meherwan that drew me to him, except at a later time, by a progressive contact, I realized his love for me that became all engulfing in oneness of his thought and the aloofness of everything else, including a few persons whom I held so dear to myself. I may have seen Meherwan more than once at Sakori, and I always felt inclined to emulate his indifferent attitude towards bodily comfort. This I could not keep up for long, and later realized that it was of the greatest consequence for me to absorb his overflowing love that gave life to my life and made worth living for the highest set conceivable purpose. So these are a few paragraphs that I'd like to share with you. I have a lot more over here, including questions and answers that were asked of Adi while he was in the West. but I don't want to take up a lot of time. There are a lot of people on this panel today. But all I want to say is that the one word that Adi Irani gave me, and that has been an integral part of my spiritual life, is the word conviction. Throughout his life, in every speech that Adi Irani gave, he would emphasize conviction, conviction in Meher Baba's divinity. And that is what he emphasized, intuitive conviction. Where does intuitive conviction come from? Intuitive conviction of all the 35, 40 people who are on this panel. Each one of you have achieved that intuitive conviction in Meher Baba's divinity. And now in your own divinity in Meher Baba's love. Because when you recognized Meher Baba and accepted him as the banner of your soul, what happened? Your life was transformed and you became convinced of his divinity. And that is what Adi Irani emphasized over and over again, was conviction in his divinity and holding on to his daman till the very end. Jai Meher Baba.
Wow, Nashrawanji, that's so beautiful. I mean, that's so true about conviction, and I mean, you cannot miss Adi saying those words whenever he gave a talk. And you know, in the diary, I liked one particular. I mean, among all the things that Adi shared, he gave life to my life, which was so precious to hear.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Narshi. And we'll circle back to other people who are waiting to share. And we now go to Meher Krupa. Jai Baba Meher Krupa.
जय बाबा
Jai Baba Ji.
अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय जय बाबा to
Jai
all.
Baba.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nosher. Want to hear from you, and we would really should have a separate session on reading Adi's diaries. We are eagerly waiting for that to come publish. You please publish a book as early as possible. Jai Baba all, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my few memories, as we are from Ahmednagar, and that's why I had a close association with Adi Kaka. I still remember his charming personality, different personality. Though outwardly he was looking so strict, he was very strict, and he used to do all the work very meticulously. But he was so soft by heart. Even the care he used to take of Lakshman, his attendant, I still remember. And I still remember many of his speeches, though we were small at that age, but we never, it was charisma, like magnetic, some attraction, something was there. And that may be the love for Baba that kept, we used to hear all the, so many lectures, speeches given by him we have heard in Ahmednagar Center. I can't say that we all understood everything at that age, and specifically when it used to be in English. But we used to hear it. And the most important thing is the interpretation that Adi Kaka gives, or his words and his speech is unique, I feel. Now, after reading so much about Baba and from so many people, Adi Kaka's ways is unique and beautiful. It's matchless. I think this is the same Mr. Noshirwan mentioned this because of the conviction, full rock-like faith he had in Baba, enormous love. There was nothing in his life than Meher Baba, and the dedication and service and all that. Because of all that, his lectures are different. I really love them. And the book, Just to Love Him, that is the compilation of his speeches, is really a lovely book. I think Meher Baba Publication House must think about republishing the Just to Love Him book. And I also remember the ghazals and qawwalis. So many times he used to sing sometimes in Ahmednagar centers, and many times all the 31st Januaries. And the program he used to conduct at the time of 31st January, lovely atmosphere. I still have not forgotten it. We never could enjoy such atmosphere. It was a lovely atmosphere. Adikaka used to be on the stage and he used to conduct the whole program, and he used to sing ghazals, Yaar ki marzi, kitabe yaar ka dam bhar ke dekh. सब तमाशे करके देखे, ये भी तमाशा करके देख, तस्वूर में महफिल, अब क्या बताऊं मैं तुझे, तेरे मिलने से क्या मिला. The beautiful, the way he used to sing these ghazals, I have never heard again from anyone. The way he used to sing. Then that was Meherabad, Kutube Alam, Nazare, Noore Khuda, Kabhi to Chatega, Fija se Andhera. Really lovely. And he used to, his command on ghazals and Urdu language was tremendous. We all know that. And he had spared time to write these ghazals in my brother's diary for him. He used to teach my brother Meher Prasad, who is no more. So Adikaka had taken pains to teach ghazals to my brother, to the extent that my brother started feeling, oh, I don't know Urdu properly. So I must first learn Urdu. Adikaka told him, first you learn Urdu. And so my father arranged for a Maulavi, a proper Maulavi, to teach him Urdu. And he learned it very well. And Adikaka made all the arrangement for my brother to stay in Kushru quarter. He had provided a room. When we go backside towards Rangoli Kaka's room, right hand side was Adikaka's room, and near back to Rangoli Kaka's room, left to Rangoli Kaka's room, he provided a small room for my brother. And he took so much care, so much love for his, so much concern, proper whitewashing, whether tube light is proper in proper direction, and table. And then one day he saw, oh, there is no mosquito net. So he arranged for it. And such a love and care. He had special love for my father. Maybe the common thread was Baba's love. And actually, as he said, the conviction is a gift from Baba to all of us. That conviction also is not of us. That is a precious gift Meher Baba has given to us, the few selected one. And coming back to this Adikaka's memories, we have a really personal, he was more than a family member to us. And anything want to do, my father used to seek his advice whenever it is possible. Suppose a tonsil operation of my sister, I still remember, after the Ahmednagar center, Saturday center was over, then Adikaka took us out and we sat in the Sarosh canteen on a table, and there the matter was discussed whether that tonsils operation was to be done or not. I mean, all this, so much love and care we have received from him. His way was unique. And he worked so hard, so hard. We have seen him from close. Afterwards, we used to avoid, no, better not to go and disturb Adikaka. But once he came to know that we had, Bade has, my father's name is V.R. Bade from Patkaji. So if he came to know that Bade had come and not seen him, he will ask next time, why you have not seen me? There are so many letters from Adikaka to my father, and he was the main link to have Baba's darshan many times for me, my family, many times, even otherwise, so many times. And there are so many incidents, of few incidents on this platform previously I have mentioned. So just to mention a few, my father and my mother did a compilation of all the Baba's messages on love. Those days, those days literature or publications were not enormous, and they selected all the messages on love and translated it in Marathi. And my father took all that material to Adikaka, and Adikaka gave it in turn to Balnatu, just to verify whether it is all right and all that. And then they were so happy that it is very good and we must publish a book. But then my father said that I don't have money. So Adikaka said, okay, till you get the money, I will spend for the book. And once you get the money, you can return me the money back. And he arranged everything for the publication and all that. The further story is long. Then Baba kept that to his heart. My father also miraculously got money and he returned it to Adi Kaka. The same way when Baba wanted papaya, the message was sent to Adi Kaka, and Adi Kaka told my father it was off season. And he asked my father that Baba wants a papaya. And when my father searched for orchids and orchids, it was an off season. Everyone said, yeah, have you gone mad? This is not the season of papaya. But he had so much faith that if Baba has asked, it must be there. And they did a lot of efforts, and then he searched each and every tree, and they found one small papaya below one leaf. And we took it all the way to Ahmednagar. Pathati is a place 1.5 hours journey from Ahmednagar. And when he took it to Adi Kaka practically held that papaya in his hand and he danced. He was so happy that he could get the papaya for Meher Baba. And then Goher auntie, Dr. Goher wanted to give Baba food made in safola oil, kardi tel, what we call. And then that safola oil my father used to provide all till the end. Even after Baba's dropping also, that oil used to be sent from Pathardi, and the procedure was it was sent through ST to Rangai Kaka's office, who was working for ST. Rangai Kaka used to take this tin of oil, full 15-20 big tin, and give it to Adi Kaka's office, and Adi Kaka will take it in turn to Meherabad. In the same way, the breakfast Baba had was a sevai made by my mother. She used to make by hand, and that also used to be sent to, first sevai was sent to Adi Kaka, and he gave it to Baba, and then Baba liked it, and then again Baba asked Adi Kaka to send a word that whether the same way it can be prepared, same measurement, same weight. Then in turn Adi Kaka will tell my father, and then that used to be sent through Adi Kaka. And so many times, whenever my father used to get time or pass by Ahmednagar, if it is possible, he will just peep in, as some people peep in the neighbor's house. So the same way, he will just see if Baba is available. And because of Adi Kaka, so many times he had the opportunity to take Baba's darshan. He used to be so busy. We have seen him working so hard. We have seen from near how hard he worked. He used to pay visits to abroad and all that. Late night he used to be there, and still if we tried, he always entertained us. And because he was not finding his own time, he thought later to chat with Baba or have some contact with Baba. So night 3 o'clock he used to get up and chant Baba's name, Jap, what we call. And 3 to 4 was his time with Baba, especially. He thought that now, because of so many, because trust used to be always in deficiency of funds. Baba never liked to ask for funds from the lovers, and he never liked someone just give that way. It should be given with love. So many headaches, Adi Kaka had at that time, and we have seen and all that from very means we had a close contact with him, so we could see the tremendous pressure on him, and still he used to give time and talk lovingly with all the Baba Mandali. And I still remember the news when he passed away. The news was relayed from radio. I still remember that news also. My parents had attended that. But I think now I must stop. Thank you so much. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Jai Baba.
Wow, you shared such beautiful things, and I mean, in such a short time. Thank you so much, Meher
Thank you.
Pupadi. Yeah, you've been very helpful in learning about Adi more, and thanks for staying up late in the night. Jai Baba, Jai
Thank you.
Baba,
Thank you.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba. Jai Baba.
And now let's try Meher Chen. Yeah, Meher Chen, Jai Baba.
Jai Meher Baba to everyone. Can you hear me out? Prakash.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Jai Meher Baba. Our connection to the Baba family, Baba, was through my mother's uncle, who came in 1944 in Baba's port. And my mother was depressed in 1950 when she lost her first son in the after taking the milk. So she was totally depressed. My mother uncle visited Madras. In those days, my father used to practice in Madras, and he asked to write a letter to Baba, stating the situation, narrating all the situation. Then asked Adi to send 5 photographs, and Adi has sent 5 photographs. The first time we heard the name of Adi through in a letter. Meher Baba, for Avatar Meher Baba, Adi Ka Irani for Meher Baba. That's the signature. Is sent with the 5 photographs. That indicates 5 children because we are five. 5 photos indicates 5 children, and that's how we came to Adi. And then uh, he was my uncle, who was a MS Shastri, was an advocate practicing at Masilipatam. Baba asked my uncle to look after the trust deed case. My uncle said, "No, I can't do it. I'm an Mafsal advocate." Baba said, "You do as per my instructions and one." And that's what my uncle did. And my uncle won the case before this thing by as per the Baba's instruction. Baba called us on 12th April at Guru Prasad on 1959. While my uncle also took me to Baba's darshan, that was the first time I've seen Baba in 1959 on 12th April 1959. And that was the first instance I've seen Adi Kaka and Irich Mama. I call him Adi Kaka and Irich Mama in the next small room adjacent to the main hall at the Guru Prasad. And then again, I met Adi, our family met. Baba asked us, my mother, to write even during the circulation letters to, and Adi used to correspond the letters, Baba's instruction. And the letters used to come to Swami Satyaprakash Meherviar address to Sita. So Swami Satyaprakash names it is to come the letters to Meherviar at Hyderabad in those days. Then we were so small, we didn't know that thing. And whenever Baba's instruction, whenever Adi was in Hyderabad, you should see my mother, come to our house and have a cup of coffee and have chit chat with my mother. And that, in those days, Adi instructed us, all our children, to do Baba's prayer. And also first the morning, our instructions was, Adi's instruction was to, the moment you get up, you should go down to Baba's photo, do namaskar to Baba's photos, and then to mother. And then before going to the school, we used to have 1954 Udi. So we should put the Udi on the forehead as per that was the instructions given by the Adi to us. So I'm still following that by his grace, of Baba's grace. And then when Baba, I'm coming clip shotting everything because there are many instances we met. Baba has given my father. My father was much acquainted with Adi, and during 1962 also my father was given a special permission even to go to in the morning section with the Westerners. This thing by Adi, and in fact, when Adi Kairani came for the inauguration of Kovur, and he came to our house on 3rd March 1963. In fact, Prakash was played that pictures before when Sailaja was game in the background. Even Pratap uncle was there, Rustom Kaka was there, and Dake Farkar uncle was there, Khurshid was there, all people were there. But Adi gave special affection to my mother. Whenever he used to come, he used to say, and Baba used to say that whatever the difficulties you are, don't hesitate to write. So my mother is to write and Adi is to console my mother in many issues. And when Baba dropped his body on 31st January, we came to know on 1st February. My mother and my elder brother and Swami Satyaprakashji and Mrityunjay Rao, they rushed up to Meherabad, and they came to Meherabad. Then Adi said, see, Sita Devi, you have now come, because she was there on second and third. Then Adi asked my mother, now that Baba's bodies we are going to keep for 7 days, you go home and send other children. And when they come, they just ask them to come and meet me so that they can have Baba's darshan. So we started there and we reached Meherabad. The first time we came to Meherabad, till then we used to go only to uh, Pune, not to this thing. So Baba, so as per the Adi's instructions, my mother and myself, Anil, Ram, my sister, all four, we came to on Meherabad on 6th morning on February, and we went to Baba Adi Kerani. And in spite of his busyness, the Adi said, asked my brother, who are you? Then he said, Sita Devi's children. Then he took us, he called somebody and took us, and he allowed to go inside Baba Samadhi. And he said, go to just step down from the steps and have Baba's feet darshan and then come back. And that we had twice, 2 days continuously, we went inside and Baba's darshan because of Adi. And that was the reason Adi was so special to me. And even during 1978, and the first time I want to do the interested to do darshan, I went and asked Adi, can I do the volunteership? He said, yes. He called, you go and meet Pendu Kaka, and he is the in charge for this thing. Like that, Adi helped us many ways in this thing. And he used to inquire about education and everything about us through my mother. And he said, don't worry, they're all Baba's children. Baba will take care of her. That he used to console my mother like that. And that's the way that in the last time when he was just going before to the Guntur, he came to your house, and he said, I was so busy in schedule also, I just rushed up because Baba asked me to, whenever in Hyderabad, I should go and visit Sita Devi. So he came, and casually he said, and this will be my last visit to the Andra, because Shastri was just, and he was joking with my father, Shastri is going to kill me to taking to the Guntur. And then suddenly, when we heard the news that he passed away in Guntur, it was reckoning as an our ears that Adi said that it was last visit to Andra, and he's going to die in Guntur. That's what the words recurring. So with these words, I want to just pay my memories and my respects to Adi. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Wonderful, Merchant. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much for all your wonderful experiences
Thank
with
you,
Adi
Prakash.
and for the pictures you sent. Yeah, thank you so much once again.
Jai Baba.
And now I don't see many hands, but BJji said he had some trouble with internet, but we'll try. Jai Baba BJji, are you there?
Jai, Jai Baba,
Jai
are
Baba.
you able to hear me?
Yeah, a little spotty. I mean, it's a little choppy, but
Yeah,
try again. I mean, it might work. Yeah.
yeah. It's so wonderful to hear all those
Uh, BJji, it's definitely not clear enough to understand what you say. Yeah, I guess your connection is still a little choppy. Yeah, it's not good at all. I may want to mute you. Sorry to mute you, but I guess it's not working at this time. We'll wait for your connection to get better and then we'll circle back. But till that time, let's see anybody else. Ooh, yeah. Anybody else who has something else to share regarding Adi? Please, you can get now, and we'll get back to BJG after. I don't see any hands at this time. Betty, you have something else? Or Fred? Fred is there. Oh, I see your
Jai
hand.
Bob, everybody.
Jai Baba.
Yeah, I met Adi in 1971 on one of my trips to India, and he was so humorous with me. We'd go to the Godrich's canteen across from the trust office and have a lime Ricky, and he would always say, lime Ricky. And then we'd talk about various kinds of scotch. And he said, oh, the best is Cheves Regal. And I would sometimes come across Adi's room at the trust office, and I wanted to say hello to him. And he was underneath the mosquito net, sitting on the edge of his bed in contemplation. And so he struck me as being a person who was extremely in deep thought for beloved Baba. But Adi would always have a various wonderful, loving personality, and I would look forward to seeing him every time I came to India. And I went to one of his talks in the Ahmednagar Center, and I remember him talking about love, and I sort of quipped, from the back of the room, and I said, "Love, what is love? What is this magnetic force in the universe?" And he said, "Young man, whatever your gymnastics in your mind are thinking, love exists." And so that was enough. So anyway, that's a recollection of dear Adi. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Fred. I mean, you have a great way of trying to put things together, and it's nice to hear somebody imitate Adi speak, though it was short. But thanks again. Beautiful. And let's try Betty. Jai Baba, Betty.
Jai Baba. I did have an opportunity in LA when he was a speaker at LA to just have a moment of private time with him. And what I remember was the intense energy in the room. He was a very powerful man. And that reminds me of another story. Actually, our good friend Don Euchre, you know Don, yeah, in New Jersey. He, how did that go? There was a time when he had some trouble with, I guess it's okay to tell us, with a Wall Street company that he was in, and had to spend some weekends in jail. And Adi came to see him when he was in one of those weekends where anyway, when he was there. And Don told me that after one of these visits, it was, I think they had some kind of visitation the way you have in a visiting room. And that after one of these visits, another person in jail came to Don and said, "That man," he said, "has the most power. That he's one of the most powerful people." He said he has power. So I hope Don doesn't mind telling this story about him. But that was this is one of these tough prison guys who noticed that about Adi immediately. So that's all, Jai Baba. And I certainly felt that with him. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Betty. Thank you so much. And I know Don Euchre and Adi, I mean, they had a very close relationship. And I mean, this may be a little funny, but this is what I heard once Don say. "Oh, we used to have a lot of things together, and then I would take him a bottle of scotch, and then we'll just sit together and have it." And that's what I heard Don mention in one of the Northeast gatherings. And yeah, beautiful. And let's see, Rosalie has something to share.
Okay, Baba. Well, I met Adi many times because he would be coming to the U.S. And then my first time in India in 1976, they didn't have the Pilgrim Center. So you could stay Monday and then you had to leave and get a place in town on Friday. And then Adi would give a talk at the Nagar Center. And during the talk, of course, just this very dynamic personality, but he was in love with some of these words from these ghazals, and he'd say them with such fire and love that, I just kind of fell in love with these ghazals. I mean, it's like he was living them, And anyway, and you just get this powerful look. Well, one day, there we are, and he's just talking about this ghazal and saying it in whatever language, whatever. And this little boy, he was a son of a servant there. His name is Baba Das. And he's just like, I don't think he was 2 years old. And he's like in a ski sweater, a big sweater with nothing on, just his little bare legs and a snow cap, a snow hat. And all of a sudden, Nadi's saying something with fire, and he sees Baba Jan walk in, and he goes from fire to just like that. He loved children. I mean, his power to me was that he could be both. I knew he loved children because I talked to him, chat with him about Baba Das, and he had this whole such a caring side, such a very tender side. And one time when he was in California, I had a private talk with him because he was staying at the house where I was living at that house. And he told me not to be so hard on myself. And it's funny, it's like this fiery person with these, his talks were very forceful. And yet to have the compassion to tell me not to be so hard on myself. I mean, this was a man of many faces, a soul. I would say more a soul of many faces, And I have to say, it was Adi that first hooked me on the ghazals, the fervor and the beauty of the ghazals, Anyway, I'm very grateful, and I love love that prayer. I was in an auto accident, and I memorized that prayer. And one of my favorite part was float on the ocean of love, because when you're floating, you can't have tension. You have to let go. Otherwise, you sink. So it's float on the ocean of love. And I thought that prayer is so fabulous. And I think, I remember, I believe he did write it in Myrtle Beach, obviously inspired prayer, Anyway, I loved his visits. I loved his dearness. I loved, of course, his conviction. What do we all want but conviction? We have it to whatever degree, and nothing like getting near the fire of conviction. He was like a fiery conviction. Anyway, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Rosalie, I know you shared Adi's prayer during Aarti time. Sally told me. Would you like to share that again? I mean, just quickly now. I mean, if you don't mind. No, you're muted. You may want to unmute yourself. Rosalie.
I say it's not a quick prayer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll share it because I love it. I did memorize that when I had that accident, and when I had to go back to work, It was very hard, and I'd take breaks and I'd lie down on a couch somewhere and I'd remember that prayer, and it was just very healing.
Yeah.
Beloved Meher Baba, bless us all. So in the stress of our daily lives and the fluctuations of our minds, we learn to relax and rely on you wholly and wholeheartedly, and float on the ocean of your love, and call for your breath of joy, your breeze of compassion, and your wind of strength to flood through every fiber of our body, every corner of our minds, and every space of our hearts, purifying us and making us worthy of your love, of your obedience. Let's say of your love, of your obedience, of your service, and above all, your pleasure. Jai Baba.
Beautiful. It's so lovely coming from you. And thanks to Baba, and thanks to Adi, and thanks to you for sharing that today in this session. And let's see, now we have Tony. Jai Baba. We'll get back to you, Vijay. I think he's working on his connection. Till that time, let's go with Tony. Jai Baba.
Can you hear me? Yes. I missed all of this because I was involved with some other thing that someone asked me to do on Zoom, which turned out to be all about Baba, which was great. But I'm so happy to catch the stories I'm hearing now, and to which I'll add just two little ones. Being at Amartithi, early 70s, early to mid 70s, in Lower Meherabad by the road where the sign says Samadhi way up, and or used to anyway. And there was an Indian woman in a wheelchair, and she was really struggling with how was she going to get up to the Samadhi. And Adi just began to chuckle, and then it became a big Adi laugh. And he burst out something in, I guess, Urdu. and we said, well, what does it mean? He said, your abode is so near, but the road is so long. The other thing, I guess it may have been later in the 70s, because I think it was on that same trip, we were a few of us in the trust office with Adi and Francis, and I think maybe Balna too was there, exchanging guzzles and couplets, and it was just heaven, you know. And what I remember in particular is Adi saying at the end, he said, do you see the wonder of the ghazal is what it takes a whole discourse to explain. The ghazal captures in one couplet. I loved Adi. I don't have any other stories that come to mind right now, but I wanted to share that one. Jai Baba.
Thanks, Tony. I'm glad you made it. Though you missed something earlier, but there is always a recording that you can get back to. So thanks again. Very nice to hear from you. Beautiful. And let's try Meher Prasad.
Hey Baba, everyone. So I thought I'll share a couple of things about Adi. He was asked what were the turning points in his life about conviction about Baba, and he related 3 incidents, but I'll relate one of them. This happened during the Manzil-e-Mean times when he was a very young teenager, like 18 or 19, and whenever people would come to visit Baba, whenever there was a young girl in the audience, Baba would turn to Adi and somebody else, I think it may have been Dr. Ghani, and ask them, what are you thinking? And Adi said, what would a 18-year-old, 19-year-old think when they see a young girl, beautiful girl come? So he would just lie to Baba, and this happened day after day for several days. And one day Baba took Adi inside and he asked him, do you think I don't know what you're thinking? And Baba related to Adi an incident that happened in Adi's earlier life that only Adi could have known. And Baba told him his thoughts during that time. This was several years before, during a cricket game. And only Adi knew what those were. And Baba told him those thoughts. And that really was a turning point in Adi's life about the conviction about Baba's divinity. And then Adi said, he cried and he told Baba, please don't ask me these thoughts when people come in public. It's embarrassing. And Baba said, no, nothing doing. You have to say it out. So the next time, and Adi said, okay, so I'll do that. And he decided this time I will, no matter what it is, I'll just tell Baba what my thoughts are. So next time, the same thing happened. A young, beautiful girl came and Baba turned to Adi and asked, what are you thinking? And Adi was about to say his thoughts and Baba told him to stop and then tell him in the ear, whisper in the ear. And Adi told this was his compassion. It really is your willingness to obey him that matters. And his compassion and love will take care of the rest. The second, and that applies to, of course, each of us. It's really the willingness for us to love and obey him, and he will do the rest. The second thing is, in almost every talk, Adi would say this couplet that has remained with me, and I'm sure he lived this in his life. This is a couplet about renunciation. He said, Tarke dunya, tarke ukba, tarke maula, tarke tark. Means renounce the world, renounce the other world, meaning the spiritual path and subtle world and all of that. Renounce the desire for God realization, and finally renounce renunciation itself. He would mention this in every single talk that I've heard of him. So I thought I'll share those two, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. That is beautiful, Meher Prasad. Hold on to the third story as well. I mean, you can always get back to us. And let's try Vijayji. Jai Baba Vijayji. Let's see if your connection got any better.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
you, Prakash ji. I just changed my equipment
Yeah, sounds better
and
now. Yeah.
hope you are able to hear.
No, we are. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So, well, yeah. Okay, thank you. And well, I just want to take this opportunity to pay my love and gratitude to Adi Kaka, as he was generally addressed. Adi Kaka and the people surrounding him, Adi Seth. Yeah. So Adi Kaka knew my father because my father was since 1938 as a 14-year-old boy visited Baba, and Baba called him the boy of path. So so that's why Adi Kaka knew me well. That in 1904, my father has also written 1,000 books of Meher Prakash Bhajnawali, and 800 copies were given to Adi ji. So during 70s, I made it mandatory to visit Adi Kaka's office. Whenever I visited Ahmednagar, Meherabad, Meherabad, and I used to visit him. And so in 1978, I wanted to go to America, Meherabad Center, at my own. And my visa got rejected because as a youngster, unmarried, it was difficult to get visa. So then when Adi Kaka came to know about it, he called me and I went to his office, and he said, he asked me, I say, why you want to go to America? I say, I want to visit Baba centers and meet his Western only. And then he said, yeah, you must go. And he said, I will write later. So he writes a 2-page letter to the US consul. And in turn, Elizabeth also writes to the US consul. And so that way, my rejection proved me as a blessing in disguise, because now this way Adi has officially regularized it. And those Western Monthly, Elizabeth and Kitty, they were ready to receive me there. So that way it was very nice that my visa earlier got rejected, and then Adiji regularized it that way. So, and then after my stay at Meher Center, I returned. And then when I returned from airport, I used to visit Khurshed's house. Whenever I was in Bombay, I used to
That was a nice story, but
We lost you there,
yeah.
Vijayji.
Oh, there you are again. Vijayji, आपका your connection, I think, sort of was choppy, and we couldn't hear you. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah, I will just finish in 2 minutes this
Yeah,
story.
please.
So, yeah. So when I returned back from the airport, so I used to visit Khurshid every time. So this time also from the airport, I went to Khurshid's apartment at Dadar. And then when I reached there by auto rickshaw, and I returned, it was Adi Kaka there. And I was really shocked to see him, because he is the one who sent me there. And now he was there. And I just laughed and laughed. And now I said, my God. And Adi, when he watched me laughing, and he understood, he got all the feedback. Means he could grasp that I'm so happy. And then I told him what happened during my stay. And then he said, oh, you could stay here with me tonight. And but I say, well, Adiji, I have to go out to some other.
Wow, that was getting interesting, but I guess we may get it in pieces. Hopefully, he'll get back. Hey, there again. Yeah.
I really don't know. Yeah.
No, but I think
So,
it's good. I mean, it's continuous. The story is nice. Please go ahead.
yeah. Yeah. So then I gave him all feedback, and uh, Adi Kaka's nature was so fiery, and he means business. Means I seen him when he ring the bell, and Jack Small runs to his office. He left his chappal behind, and like that. And there is outside the door was there. He said the Adi Kaka is inside, and so that was kind of his presence there. And he was really very strict, but very loving and very caring. And that was a really wonderful time with Adi Kaka. I will end here. And thank you, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba Vijayji. Yeah, he meant business, I guess. I mean, he always was heavy on emancipation of ego and
Yeah, yeah,
spiritual advancement to emancipation of ego. So, I mean, I think he gave several talks on that, for all I know. I mean, there are books and
right.
things you can hear on
Yeah.
YouTube. Yeah. That is
In every speeches, he used to mention this यार की मर्जी किताबे यार का दम भर के देख करके मतलब करके देखा अर्जे मतलब करके देखा करके मतलब करके देख.
Yeah. No,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Meherabad mentioned that. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, that's a great ghazal, actually. I couldn't get hold of him singing that, but I'm sure it is there somewhere. But today I heard in, one of the programs in Hyderabad Center that gets relayed every Saturday morning. And there was some Gopi singing that. It was so beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I mean, let's see. Anybody else who has something to share? Else we'll just wind it up and then let people have lunch and
So, Prakash,
yeah.
can you play that again with Adi singing? I'd
Oh,
love to hear that again.
oh, sure, sure.
Yeah,
I
that
can.
was so wonderful. So
Yeah.
wonderful.
Give me a second. Yeah, here I am. Let's see where it is. It's here. Yeah. Let me know if you can hear.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, maybe I'm playing the wrong one. Let's see. Just one sec. Here it is.
Now, this first stanza in which he says, Meher Baba, you are the Kutub of the world, manifestation of the light of God. You are man of God, the perfect man, and a crowned king of the two worlds. Meher Baba, Kutub Alam, Mazhar Noor Khuda. Meher Baba, Kutub Alam, Mazhar Noor Khuda. Mard Haq इंसान कामिल मर्द हक इंसान कामिल ताजदार दो सरा मर्द हक इंसान ताजदार हाथ दो सरा. Then in the second stanza he says, the sun and the moon are enlightened with the glory of your face. The two worlds have become luminous by the rays of your light. Mero maipur noor tere jalwaye rukhsar se do jahan roshan hai tere partave anwar. Baba Kutub Alam Mazhar Noor Khuda. Mere Baba Kutub Alam Mazhar Noor Khuda. I just sung, Meher Baba, you are God. In you is manifested God. In the form of a human, you are God manifested. मेहर बाबा तू खुदा तुझ में है जलवा गर खुदा. मेहर बाबा सूरत इंसान हुआ तो हक नुमा. मेहर बाबा सूरत इंसान हुआ तो हक नुमा. He said, you are Muhammad, you are Mustafa, you are Suleiman, you are Moses, you are God, you are the way Guru of the Sikhs, you are Ram, you are Rahim of the Muslims. Tu Muhammad, tu Muhammad Mustafa, tu Suleiman, tu Khalil, tu Muhammad Mustafa, tu Suleiman, tu Khalil. God, tu hai Guru, tu Ram, tu hai Rahim. God, गॉड तू है वे गुरु राम तू हरू रहीम मेरा बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहर नूर खुदा. He says, you are the beginning, you are the end. You are concealed and you are manifest. You are the angel, you are God manifest, and you are the prophet. Tu hai awwal, tu hai aakhir, tu nihat, tu aashika. Tu firishta sid yazdan gir payghambar shika. Tu firishta sid yazdan gir payghambar shika. मेर बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहर नूर खुदा मर्द हक इंसान कामिल ताजदार दूसरा. Now it means, he says, O the King of the two worlds and the Emperor of the whole creation, salvation lies in my getting into the orbit of your path of love. Salvation lies in my getting into the orbit of your path of love. ऐ शहंशाह दुल आलम पादशाह कायनात पादशाह कायनात तेरी गिरदे राह हो जाने में है मेरी निजात. तेरे गिरदे राह हो जाने में है मेरी निजात. मेरे बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहर नूर खुदा. You are in the name and form, and every name and form is yours. The wave of multiplicity is yours, and the ocean of unity is also you. इसम सूरत से तू ही हर इसम सूरत भी तेरा. इसम सूरत भी तेरा. इसम सूरत से तू ही हर इसम सूरत भी तेरा. है मौज कसरत भी तेरी है बहर वहदत भी तेरा. मौज कसरत भी तेरी है बहर वहदत भी तेरा. मेरे बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहर नूर खुदा. मेरे बाबा कुतुब आलम मजहर नूर खुदा.
Oh, wow.
That's a beauty.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Tony has something to share. Jai Baba Tony. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes. What was it? Oh, sitting at Vilu Villa in the garden, one Amartithi season, Adi was visiting, and someone said something about someone had a cold, and he said, "Oh, this is the other story. That's okay." Someone had a cold, and he said, "The thing about illness," he says, "it starts in the mental body, and if you can catch it there, it's the best. But then it goes into the subtle body, where it's a bit more difficult. But if you can catch it there, then you can resolve it at that level. Unfortunately, then it goes into the physical, which is much more difficult to deal with." Another little tidbit that came to mind was he was talking about the difficulty of, always with humor, he was talking about the difficulties of surrendering, like surrendering a bad habit. And he said, you have this habit, even if you succeed in taking the H away, a bit is still there. And even after great effort, if you can take that A away, still a bit is there. And if through great Herculean effort, you manage to take the B, surrender the B, still it is there. I said, and even if you ultimately can release the I, still the habit of drinking tea is there. That's all. Just those two came to mind. Thank you.
Beautiful. Hey, Tony, that's very valuable what you just shared in word. But did he tell you how to get rid of it from the mental body so it doesn't get you a physical any suffering?
Well, I think it's at the level of thought. It's at the level of thought. Where is your thinking off? This is my opinion only. And when it gets to the subtle, means you've got emotions and feelings that are clashing, that are manifesting whatever those kind of conflicting thoughts are. And if you can resolve those feelings, then still it doesn't have to reach the physical. But if you can't, and this is about, I think, going inside to Baba, just to attune oneself. I think that's it. And but if you're not able to attune yourself and to resolve it that way, then you get a physical problem that's got to be dealt with. It sucks.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Thanks again, Tony. Thanks for remembering that. Thanks to Baba, obviously. And wonderful. And with that said, we don't have any hands at this time. So we will wind it up for today. And thanks everybody. I mean, it's just been a pleasure listening to all the shares, all the stories, and above all, love for Baba through all your wonderful experiences. And at this time, all
Betty says, was he a homeopathic practitioner, or are you?
Say Baba.
who?
Betty asked a
Say
question.
Baba.
Yeah, Jai Baba. Thanks,
Yes,
Mandy.
Mandy.
Say
Thank
Baba.
you. Thanks, everybody. And Betty has a question, but I don't know who it is to. But thanks again. Jai Baba. Jai
Say
Baba.
Baba.
Hey, Prakash,
Yeah.
Adi was never a homeopathy practitioner.
Oh, okay.
It was, in fact, what's his name? Padri Kaka and Baidul and other man, I forgot, Gustaji. They used to give homeopathy.
All right. Baba never believed in homeopathy. I mean, at least he would have some comments to say that.
But Adi had a special this thing from Baba is when Baba came as a small advent as Shivaji, Adi was his wife.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a big story. Yeah, I know. It's something like that I heard, but yeah. Once again, can you repeat that, Merchant?
When small advent as Shivaji,
Hmm.
when Adi came as Baba came as an Shivaji,
Mhm.
Adi was
His
Shivaji's
wife.
wife.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to make a comment about his humor. When he would actually start chuckling, even if you didn't think it was funny, the man had humor. You know, his chuckle was delightful, just delightful. Pratap reminds me a little bit when he starts chuckling. It's real deep. It's like, ooh, just delicious, really.
Yeah.
So much.
Thanks again, everybody. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba.
Ki Jai.
Avatar Meher
Meher
Baba.
Baba. Jai.
Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba.
Baba
Jai.
Ki Jai.
Well, sleep well, everybody in India and wherever it is
Thank
night.
you, Prakash ji. Thank you.
And we'll have
Jai.
lunch. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Okay, nice and
Jai
clear.
Baba Sharli.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Well, very well conducted. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice.